Well, that was just plain silly. Okay, one more time. Hello, I am Zana. This is Asura's Wrath. There is plenty of time to explain things in this first segment because you're really not expected to do much. This is basically a playable anime. It's very plot heavy. You're gonna hear that sound right there an awful lot. There's a lot of like scripted cinematic sequences, a lot of QTEs. A lot of people have the assumption that the QTEs are most of what this game is, and that's certainly not true. There's a lot of actual combat in the game as well, and there's a surprisingly large amount of optimization to be had in those combat segments. This was produced by Capcom and developed by CyberConnect 2. CyberConnect 2's shtick is definitely this kind of cinematic approach to a game. A lot of what saves time in segments like these is just knowing what your QTEs are ahead of time. Not all of them matter if you get the QTE done right away, and not all of them actually even need to be done. Oh, and apologies for my allergies and sinuses. Texas weather has been like icy cold, hot, rain, hot, rain, light rain, heavy rain, light rain, heavy rain. So yeah, I'm kind of dying right now. Moving back to the game, we do not see any meters or health bars right now because, funny enough, until the tutorial takes place, the game does not actually expect you to follow any rules. So, I actually cannot die right now. There are certain cutscenes like this one right here that cannot be skipped. I don't remember exactly where all of the scenes that you can't skip are. So there will be some sections where we're gonna hear an awful lot of that buzz noise. It is probably the worst part about this run is that we can't get rid of that buzzing sound when you cannot skip the scene. What I'm doing right now with throwing blasts at all of these structures is giving me meter that we really can't see, and it will only have a marginal effect on how fast the end of this segment goes. Dude, nice. Let it be known, Sid not one to leave it at 50 cents. Yeah, there's not an experience quite like trying to donate $40 and accidentally typing 4,000. And you click through a couple of menus and you're like, oh god. I just realized that the levels on my microphone were probably a bit too high and adjusted them. So, the large mouth that we see coming out of planet Earth right now is Blitra. That's confused you for a second. It's definitely not 3 minutes. Dodges are slow. In most sections where there are dodges involved, basically doing the first dodge will lead into another dodge, will lead into more dodging, and that just eats up a lot of time. So it's a lot faster RTA to just go ahead and accept the hit and just move on. So yeah, plot-wise, basically Giant Monster uses the planet like an egg, I guess is probably the easiest way to describe it. And everything is about getting rid of this monster because it is believed to be the source of the other monsters. I can't not see it. Every time I see that dude, I think he's got a serious case of rabbit teeth. So when certain QTEs come up, typically on the Y button, they're meant to be timed to the specific action that they're tied to for maximum point values. But the way the Asura's Wrath loads is that it loads progressively in the background at all times. When you have an action on screen, it pauses that loading structure. So you want those actions to go away as soon as possible. Not all of them actually affect the final load time, but enough of them do that it's just smarter to have the habit of hitting them all as early as possible. So like I said earlier, we haven't actually reached the part of the game where it feeds you a tutorial, so I am not expected to follow any rules. Also, this game lags a lot, unfortunately. So the spinning attack that I was doing there, those are your heavy attacks. Under normal circumstances, they would put you into a cooldown. So you're not supposed to be able to just do that attack over and over. And we're about to use that fact to amazing advantage here in a moment. So this is essentially your like commercial break. When I said it was a playable anime, I meant that quite literally. So this is your first quote-unquote boss fight. Even at your most casual, that fight is completely inept. Okay, so in the plot, basically, Asura, after subduing Vlitra, has been summoned by the Emperor. You go to see the Emperor to find him slain, and others see Asura with the Emperor, with his blood on his hands, and blame him for the Emperor's demise. Asura then finds out that his daughter's been kidnapped, and then he is murdered. So the game's over. Good night, everyone. At this point, we're in Naraka, which is like a Hindu version of... I don't know if it would be compared to the Afterlife or Limbo. Probably closer to Limbo, based on what we see in the game. Pretty much all of the lore in this game is based on Sanskrit, Hindu, Buddhism, that kind of stuff. So that was our tutorial section. Thankfully, you can skip it, but now that we've received the tutorial, we do actually have to Yikes. No, alcohol poisoning, stop. Now we do actually have to follow rules, so I'm going to jump over that after launching this guy. This is an overheat attack. Yo, that guy is being very aggressive right now. Doing this is going to trigger the cooldown, which you'll see as a little red circle over Asura's head. So the way that this game works in most sections, it has nothing to do with doing enough damage or killing enough enemies, and everything to do with building up that red meter. That red meter is your rage, and once it fills to maximum, it will allow me to do a burst. And burst typically finishes the fight. It is not to say that there aren't sections of the game that involve simply doing damage and killing targets, but most of them are based on the burst meter. This is one of those segments that you cannot skip. Speaking of taking a drink, I have a moment. So the combat in this game is actually kind of comparable to something like Kingdom Hearts, where during most boss fights, if you just, swing your attacks around without thinking, you're going to hit a lot of super armor where, sure, you're doing damage, but the enemy is not being staggered and you can't really combo them without being knocked away. The same kind of concept is true here. Boss fights are cycles of looking for openings and exploiting them. Depending on how that particular boss works, it can also have a lot to do with causing openings to happen. So yeah, the 360 version of this game lags a lot. Like that was a charge attack, and I didn't even mean to do that. I am just tapping the attack button. So rage does not build based on damage, it builds based on number of hits. Because of that, there are a lot of times where doing heavy damage attacks on a target that you could get finishers on like this, you don't really want to kill them right away when you could, get repeated hits on them. Also, a lot of the different combat sections have enemies that are, say, the focus of Asura's anger. And in those sections, that particular enemy will give you a lot more rage per hit. And you'll see me using that to great advantage later. So most of the combat in this game is actually really heavily scripted. This guy will always try to shoulder tackle right away. It is not actually easy to get that finisher on before he moves. This guy likes to move around. I did not think he would land that. So there's, ooh, that was actually really good. So when you do a finisher attack and there's multiple enemies around, Asura will do an attack that is an area of effect. Depending on how many enemies are in that area of effect, that can actually be far less beneficial than when you hit only one enemy. So in a lot of cases, you're going to see me looking for a single enemy to single out with a charge attack, or heavy attack rather. So the way that cancels work in this game is actually really interesting. Things that can be canceled can actually be canceled by like different actions, but they're not all cancelable by the same actions. For instance, a dodge roll is cancelable by jumping, but not by attacking. Basic attacks can be canceled into basically anything else. I got away from him so it wouldn't launch him away. When you use burst and you're too close to an enemy, it will actually throw them away from you, and if it does so against the wrong walls, it'll actually put them out of your path, and you'll have to get burst again. Yeah, there is a lot of combat nuance to the way everything works. I'm not going to be able to remember verbally what the spider web of cancels actually is. But it does have a lot of really clever nuance to it once you learn it all. Just now we wanted to make sure that we did enough damage, or rather got enough rage, before Bison could do his desperation attack. And his desperation attack, he would jump up and throw missiles at you. The reason that we want to avoid that, even though like it ends with a big hit that it gives you for free, but the problem with it is that like the first 3 or 4 of them doesn't do anything. You just have to wait through those, and they all cause like a cinematic slowdown as well. Oh god, dude, come on. Also, I didn't get to mention it when it happened, but this game features probably one of the best game features of all time in the form of the shut up button, which we just used again. Basically, the enemies have monologues that they would go through, but you are also given access to push the B button to shut them up. Easily the best feature in any video game ever. I'm gonna ignore you. So the stylized meter in the middle under the HP and rage it's called unlimited mode. Basically, when it fills, you can use it to I would say become invincible, but that's only true in most of the game, not all of it. It makes it where you can do your overcharge attacks repeatedly with no cooldown until unlimited mode runs out. But doing your overcharge attacks definitely makes it run out faster. Dude, really? Right here, gotta remember that it goes into that. That one thankfully didn't affect anything. Now we have large series of QTEs. The 360, because of the lag that this game actually causes, there's like a maximum speed that you can actually mash buttons. And it actually causes a lot of button, like input drops in a lot of different places. Like, even in some places where it's, like, simply the cutscene playing, the button to skip the cutscene will get dropped. So Vyzon is basically the size of the entire galaxy now. Because reasons. And up to this point, Asura doesn't actually remember what happened before he was murdered. So now that he's like in this position, this is for whatever reason when he remembers what happened. Also worth mentioning, Asura is the demigod of wrath, which explains his being angry all the time. I'm pretty sure that that part's not necessarily true to the Hindu lore, but it is what it is. Creative license, I suppose. So, like, boss fights don't actually progress in difficulty all that fast in this game, so much as they just kind of change style. And it's also worth noting that through the progression of the plot in this game, Asura loses his arms, regains his arms, gets 6 arms, gets 2 giant beefy arms, and that each orientation of his limbs actually has a different moveset.
It is pointless to resist! You lost 12,000 years ago! That was your fate! Leave it at that!
Yo, enjoy your music. A lot of this combat involves like staying in time with certain things.
Millions of souls just to fight you? No. You're not familiar with our way of life.
So in this fight, oh god, come on. In this fight, unlimited mode would protect me from all damage. And this is yet another dodging segment that we're just not gonna do. Oh, okay. I interrupted him there somehow. Now, right after this, for whatever reason, you can usually interrupt him. So right now, doing the big finish would actually take up more time than it would save, and I'm not gonna deal with his QTE either. We're just gonna keep on pounding on him while I've got unlimited mode. Oh, he almost got away from me there.
Yes, and I will say it again. Your daughter is devoted to the cause in order to save the world.
Who do you think you are?
God.
Whoops. And then Asura was sliced in half. And died yet again. And that's part 1 of 3. Or 4, rather. I actually don't think Asura dies any more times in this game. He just dies twice in the first chapter.
If you can accept their actions, perhaps you should let go and allow your soul to become one with Gaia again.
So, this is when I was talking about, for whatever reason, this larger gorilla is the focus of Asura's rage. And as such, like, I definitely want to avoid doing any unnecessary damage to him and just keep on wailing on him with these basic strikes. And that actually benefits me in 2 different ways. Obviously, just being able to build up rage that quickly is great and all, but the way that the gorillas respawn is they actually create, like, bolts of electricity and puffs of smoke. Those are dynamic particles, and they cause heaps of lag. So the fact that I basically didn't kill any of them meant no respawns. So the way that the elephant fight works is basically he's got a scripted point at which he recoils and moves on to a different phase of the fight. And I did not get the finisher in time because it dropped the input. Yo, what's up, Val? That's fine. You didn't know anyone played this on Twitch? Sadly, I am the only active speedrunner for this game, and I'm the only person who's put in any times on either the DLC or on hard mode. There are other runs of parts 1 through 3 on easy mode, though. While he's waving his trunk around, all you can do is just kind of jump around and attack and hopefully catch something. Does it? Because it sounds like... my voice sounds awful in my head right now. You cannot skip this. Hell yeah, you eat the elephant. What else do you do with an elephant? Come on. Everybody knows that when you have an elephant, you yeet it. You know, I need a yeet button. Or no, a yeet ball, right? So you yeet the ball and it hits something and says yeet. Y'all, I think Asura's a bit angry. Right? One thing I haven't mentioned about this game's production is that it actually has a really amazing voice cast. Liam O'Brien voices Asura himself, and his performance is just beyond reproach. He was the perfect choice for Asura, but for whatever reason, they also saw it fit to get Tara Strong to voice Asura's wife, and she's almost absent long enough that it would be considered a bit part. Like, there's no reason that they should have spent so much money getting Tara Strong. So this is our one and only chase section in the game. This sucks a lot, and I'm really, really happy that there's not more of this. So the idea here is you throw these projectiles, and the monkey gets closer to you, and you beat up on it as much as you can. If I'm not bad, I'll actually be able to get it done before the next major turn, which is exactly what we want. No! Well, so because of these turns right here, it's basically impossible to get it done until about right here. Tara Strong was in Metal Gear? What? How did I not know that? I can't think about Tara Strong without seeing like an entire array of characters in my head. So this is the turtle fight. Turtle fight sucks. The point of jumping in his face and doing a charge attack right away was to prevent him from doing things that would have kept me from being able to do any combat with him for a decent amount of time. Okay. Funny enough, the enemies that the turtle summons are far more valuable for meter than the turtle. Yo, I was having the same fear about this. Yo, we're gonna combo the turtle. This basically never happens. So optimally what you would do with the turtle fight is you would get him into the corner, facing out towards the center of the arena, and then you would activate unlimited mode after you knock him down, and then you would just do finishers on his face over and over. The trouble is that when he does the large spin attack, he typically centers. When you do the QTE, it takes him to the center of the arena. There's several different things that cause him to come off of the wall. So getting it to happen, it's very much like a unicorn. It never happens. So even though like only 2 finishers right there is not optimal, it was definitely 100% worth.
What the hell are you doing?
In all of these scenes where he hits one of these golden golems, they always make like the best facial expressions. Okay. This situation on hard mode is actually really, really dangerous because anything could suddenly deal heaps of damage to you. Now we're going to unlimited mode, dash forward, and do this again. She's closer. There we go. So like I said before, a lot of this is meter management more than it is wailing on any one particular enemy.
What?
So in this scene, basically, what started this fight is the other generals that he originally fought with that betrayed him, they now call themselves the Seven Deities, and they just attacked this village essentially to steal everyone's souls. Not too long from now, we're gonna come up to one of my favorite scenes that you can't skip. It's funny, there are, like, I'm actually glad that there are scenes in this game that you can't skip because some of them are actually really, really great. Heh. Speaking of, Val, when are you gonna stream this again? Come on. You might want to have a doctor look at that. So right here, basic build meter, finish the segment, free fall. Right, that's what these are referred to. These are free falls. You know, Asura's falling with style.
No, but it will burn you to ash.
So this guy that we're chasing right now is Calro. He's one of the Seven Deities. He is definitely not a combatant. The only thing right here that could potentially threaten me are these missiles, and that's only if I, like, forget myself and don't notice them coming in. Yo, neither of those went towards anything useful. That was actually a bit rough. That's not what you want right here. Asura, figure it out, dude. Yeah. Yeah, his arms get jacked up a lot. So this is one of the few segments of the game where it's actually entirely about killing off enemies rather than anything else. Building up meter will matter at the end of this segment, but not right now. Yeah, Asura's Wrath is amazing, dude. It's relatively cheap if you can find it in a legitimate retail outlet. I had somebody pointed out to me the other day that on eBay, for whatever reason, it's going for like $150, which makes no sense because this is like a $10 game. So right there what you saw me doing was I was doing a charge attack to dash forward with an uppercut, and I was canceling that into a normal attack and then canceling the normal attack with another charge attack. In spots like this where you gain control while the camera is moving, there's normalizing movement, like just hitting the dodge button while you're not facing any particular direction. It will simply dodge forward rather than go with the camera. Whereas like holding forward would of course do a circular motion because the camera is turning. The charge attack for the uppercut does the same thing, but the uppercut doesn't actually move very far unless you're focused on something. Oh, yo, solo. Okay, we are on the opposite side of the arena from where we really want to be, but as long as I'm not getting torn up by this guy. Hello. What's up, this guy? Yeah, these dudes with the spears, if they just keep on spamming that charge attack, they can actually do a really frightening amount of damage. This is actually pretty suboptimal. I should have more meter than I did right there. Hello? Oh, come on. Well, that was disappointing. Basically, that section's a balancing act of getting your meter and killing enemies. Enemies will keep respawning so that you can continue to gain meter. But you really want it to line up in such a way where nothing new needs to respawn past a certain point. But unfortunately, I didn't get it lined up quite right, and more things had to spawn because it didn't know, like it didn't register that I had a full meter before that. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and do this reaction command because it's silly. But you would normally avoid this because it's very slow. Now we're just gonna combo this dude against the wall. But yeah, you haven't even seen the half of how intense this gets. Note that we're maybe about halfway through part 2. And there's 4 parts.
Impossible. How could one man destroy my entire fleet?
Here we go. You can't skip any of this, and I'm damn glad about that.
Asura! We, the 7 deities, have finally brought stability and order to our world. Above all, our daughter's power is the pillar that keeps it in place. From the Goma, yes? We're almost there. Soon the Goma will be no more. After the Great Rebirth, no more will need to be sacrificed. Yes, the world will be free from the threat of the Goma, and we shall attain eternal paradise. I grow tired of hearing about the world.
He deserved it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, so I decided that for this marathon, we're actually going to show this scene in its entirety.
What? Can't even handle a fall from the heavens. You lack training! Lucas! Relax, son. Enjoy every moment.
Yeah, it really is.
You fight, then eat good food. You fight, then drink fine wine. You fight, then sleep with beautiful women. Hell, fight with beautiful women.
What's more is the music in this game like progresses in intensity just like the fights do. It's not unlike Metal Gear Rising in that way.
I am not like you. So you think?
So, at this point, there's several different ways to get meter, and there's a bunch of looky-loos here. Particularly this guy. He's easily the most memorable. Because he slips. And dies. Oh, also there's a view of the valley. So, the basic way to get meter in here is to do 4 different actions. That was splash. This is, I don't know, glug, I don't know what it's called. Chug, yes, it's probably chug. This is sip. And then there's, I think that there's one more set of looky-loos here somewhere. Hey, get out of here. And then there's the optimal way to get meter, and that is to flash this lady your junk. Which is a Xana special, not really. PG-13. Anyways, the rest of this is just exposition. Coming up, this is probably one of my least favorite fights in the game. And it's just because it's kind of needlessly complicated. And it results in fighting a second turtle. Would you not? Could I potentially get this whole meter here? I'm not gonna do that. Yo, where's the cave? I got lost. So you don't want to kill that rhino, because if you kill that rhino, it will do a little cutscene showing that this rhino exists. You don't want to kill this rhino, because it'll do a little cutscene showing the exit to the cave. So you basically just go past both of those immediately. No. Okay. Ah. I actually got really fortunate. In that section, you actually have to be facing... That shouldn't hit me. You actually have to be facing the door in order to do the burst, which is a little weird. because you don't have to be facing anything else to burst on it, but in that particular case, I ended the segment facing the door, and that's always a nice advantage. Yeah, I didn't get my cooldown back in time. Alright, he's gonna summon some Orinos. Yeah, I got hit. I am very, very shocked that that happened. Yo, this is a real marathon. That's never happened before. How did he get stuck on me? Okay. Now that I've knocked him down like this, we are not going to... Yo, where did they go? Here we go. And that should finish the fight. So just like last time, the things that it spawns are more valuable in terms of rage than the turtle itself. Which is good because they also tend to be easier to whoop up on. Here's the smile that takes forever. Now, funny thing about Asura's Wrath in terms of like version differences, because this is on the 360 and also on the PS3. So the game actually plays significantly smoother on the PS3. And it doesn't have nearly as much lag, and the only problem with that is that it has a lot of like screen tears. It doesn't make the game unplayable in any way. It's just a little annoying that the screen tears are there. Despite the fact that the game plays significantly better, its load times and autosaves are way worse, to the tune of 17 to 22 minutes per run. Now, when it comes to the 360 version, this is in the backwards compatibility library for the Xbox One and the Series X. I have not seen this game played on the Series X. But on the Xbox One S, it actually does not see a performance improvement at all over the 360. And on the One X, it actually has performance improvements that, while the game would be faster overall, actually has more problems. Like, for instance, a scripted event later on happens quicker than it should. Now, that is only like a visual issue. Basically, it makes something easier to dodge that would have been easy to dodge anyway. But the other issue it causes is that it makes Lost Episode 1 almost unbeatable, because it makes the QTE at the end very, 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 very difficult to complete. Like, difficult to the point to where even if you're a mashing god, you're going to have to get lucky or it's not going to happen. Yeah, I keep holding out hope that eventually they'll return to this and be like, yo, Asura's Wrath is getting a full PC release with all the DLC included. It probably won't ever happen. I wish it would, but it probably won't. So, in the plot, this is actually Asura's master, which may or may not have been included in some of the exposition in the bath scene. But he's ironically one of the easier fights. It's like, right now, this fight is already basically over. So we're just gonna stand here. Yo, you didn't do the key. Okay, here we go. Apparently you have to be closer for that. I have not had that happen either. These QTEs don't, like, doing them doesn't save time, not doing them doesn't save time. I just don't have anything else to do at this point, I guess. But yeah, going back to the version differences, if you are interested in this game, but you don't think that there's any chance in the world that you would ever speedrun it, definitely get the PS3 version. If you have the option. If there's any chance that you might speedrun this one day, definitely get the 360 version. So in this scene, Asura rushes off to fight a Goma that is the size of a small continent. That does not actually happen during the game. There is an episode, I think it's 13.5, where you do get to see what happened to there, but unfortunately it's in animation and QTEs only. And I gotta say, the art style that they use for it is it's pretty ugly. I don't like it at all. All right, Val, have a good one. Have fun practicing F-Zero. Lord, I imagine that game is like maximum punishment when you are out of practice. Indeed. Fair enough.
It's too late.
Indeed. That should not have hit me. That should have hit me. What? This game is so silly. Alright, this is my favorite facial expression in the game. It looks so dopey. So now we're about to go full Naruto. It's actually more based on a Buddhism thing called chakra Vartan. Sort of like, I guess, a Hindu-esque Shiva. I am not an expert, so that could be completely incorrect. I don't know. But the giant ethereal arms made of energy being solid red definitely gives me hardcore QB vibes. So despite the fact that in the plot, like the way that the story is presented, you're clearly supposed to be presented as being like all powerful right now, I promise it's very easy to die right now. So I am gonna focus here for a minute. Okay. Well, part of the problem is that with many games that contain lasers, just like them, this game does not have a particularly great hitbox for the laser. You can see that sometimes it'll pass right through something and it won't do its job. Also right here, while like individual missiles don't really hurt you that much, if you watch like the damage that it just did, it's really not that big of a deal. But at the same time, if you're like paying attention, you can see that they launch them in like volleys of 12 and 16. So it is actually quite easy to take a lot of damage in a single mistake. Which makes sense for, you know, hard mode. I'm not particularly worried about my damage now, though. Let's just go fast. And that's the end of part 2. So now we're on to part 3. This is the final part for the core game. And everything that we know is about to get flipped on its head. So the Brahmastra is like this. It's sort of like a space station, like orbital laser kind of thing. So now we're playing as Yasha. Yasha is way faster than Asura. He does not have any issues with losing his arms. So every time that you see him, he has the same moveset. That was unfortunate. Battle strategies involving Yasha are actually really difficult to explain, but one thing that you can do with him that you just saw me do twice is when you do a charge attack to put somebody in the air, you can actually immediately slap them out of that launch and put them back on the ground very quickly. That actually went super, super well. But another thing that is actually kind of a problem with him is that his charge attack from the air, the dive kick, the second hit of it actually knocks enemies down, and that's not a good thing. If the game will let you do the inputs correctly, what you would do is you would basic attack out of the first hit to cancel the second hit and not knock enemies down. And you don't want to knock an enemy down when you have the potential for a full combo. So this game is very laggy, as I've said before. For whatever reason, if you continue to throw his arm blades like this, you will actually cause less lag. My theory, like the only thing I can come up with is that because I'm doing this, there's some texture that I can't see that's not loading in, some filter that's not happening, and that because that's not happening, it doesn't lag as much. That's the only thing I can come up with. On the Vlitra core, there is really not a way to do Vlitra core fast. You just keep consistent damage. It's pretty much all you can really hope for Vlitra core. I'm gonna clam up a bit and rock out to this dude's awesome track. So this sequence right here actually takes considerably longer than it would just killing the two enemies normally, which you could do instead. However, it skips a second to fight, so there's no reason not to do it that way. No big deal, I just wrenched his eyes out of his skull. Typical. Don't worry about it. He's fine. Walk it off, dude. So that ship in the top left, the last one that I destroyed, it's actually kind of funny. Evidently, the people that made this didn't expect that particular ship to be destroyed. I don't know why, but if you destroy it right away, it's very, very hard to not realize that it's still shooting at you. So this guy right here, if I do not do enough damage to him quickly enough, then I will be forced to fight another fight. And that's the kind of stuff that we're looking to avoid. Ah.
Completion in T-minus 1 minute.
So we really don't want those missiles to happen. It's really unfortunate when they do. Because when they get too close, they cause that slowdown right there. And the alternative is to actually do their QTE or their reaction command, and that's even slower.
If you stop the blast now,
So this doesn't help at all, but can fly down this. And for whatever reason, pushing the button to try to skip the cutscene doesn't even react right here.
In the right.
Which leads me to think that this particular sequence is
You need to live in the
coded differently than a typical cutscene.
You think too much.
I'm not really sure why they would have done that. By the way, the same thing is still true. You still want to be throwing these. I promise I can mash way faster than this, but it wouldn't do me any good. Especially right there. The weird thing about mashing in this game, because of how much it lags and how many inputs get dropped, is it's all about finding the highest number of inputs you can get in at any given moment and finding a rhythm. Which honestly I find to be far more difficult than just mashing as fast as I can. Okay, we're pretty close to the most dangerous fight in the game. In practice, this is the one that's been giving me problems lately. Instead of optimizing it this time, I'm just gonna fight him. So right now, we don't know the whereabouts of Asura. We know that he's scorched black, ultra powerful, and that the seven deities are trying to find him. And because of the events that have taken place as of late, Yasha is questioning whether or not what they're doing is the right thing to do. I didn't get it. Okay, that was almost really scary. The reaction for it almost didn't come up, but like I could tell it would hit me. So that was one of the instances where unlimited mode does in fact not protect you from damage completely. It only, like, it's weird. In some sections it protects you from damage completely. In some sections it doesn't protect you at all. In this section, it causes you to receive reduced damage. And it's very important because that, like, black ball of gas or whatever it was actually does a frighteningly large amount of damage. And if that hits you without unlimited mode on hard mode, then if anything blinks at you funny, you'll die. So it's important for me to remember that Yasha is left-handed, and that's because this QTE is up on the left stick and down on the right,
Filthy beast.
and it's to go into his stance.
Take this.
Okay, this fight's over. Yeah, for sure, dude. Doing it the best way that we know how, going fast. So this dodge sequence, if I was to dodge that right there, just that first dodge would lose me about 20 seconds. If I were to do the full sequence, it would be almost a minute.
That is to say,
So, Asura's back. And Sergei is going bye-bye. I realized that during this speedrun, we really don't get to meet the characters. So that was Sergei. He's very, very creepy. So this is one of the few times where dodges are actually not a bad idea, and it's because doing the dodge, as you can see at the top, actually gives you meter. And a little bit of free meter goes a long way right now. So this is by far the most dangerous fight in the game. Well, in the core game. Ah, not quite. Ah, dangerous. Ah. Exclamation point info. So normally right here, 4 dodges would be optimal, but for whatever reason, I've put myself very, very much at risk of tripping a series of events that would cause a script to break, which would allow him to get a really, really, really nasty attack on me. So I'm actually just going to complete the dodge sequence and get myself to the first scripted event right away. Use video games to save video games. Also, welcome to the marathon. Yasha's fast. I almost pushed the wrong button. Yo, that would have been fully embarrassing. Oh, that's fine. Well, I mean, you know, every little bit helps in terms of like getting the word out. If you know other people that would love to support the cause, definitely, you know, megaphone for us. That is a very cheap way to help out. But no, yeah, I get it, dude. Like, I live in Texas and things have been a total mess down here. So I totally understand being like financially distraught at the moment. An amazing presence, yo, for sure. Okay, so apologies for not explaining that fight. It's an incredibly dangerous fight, and I definitely needed serious time. Basically, Saya Asura, he gets up really, really fast when you knock him down, which is why I wasn't going ham on getting the extra hits in. But he also hits really, really, really hard. Like, kills you in 2 to 4 hits really, really hard. Alright, so we're done playing as Yasha. For now. And you know, I said that that other fight was my least favorite fight in the game. I lied. The fight coming up is pretty awful. So at this point in the game, I think the narrative reason for it is to show that Asura is getting more powerful over time. But enemies in this section die stupidly fast to the point to where it's actually difficult to get meter off of them. Because of that, when I do launches like that, I actually have to jump to cancel out of it so that a second hit does not happen. Otherwise, enemies will die instantly and I will not be able to do finishers on them. Of course, these dudes with the spears, they are rude. Well, that sucks. Let's knock you down with some of that. Use this. Yo, I got a solo in here. That's the best meter that you can get in this section. These guys can actually be really, really dangerous if you let them get out of control. Which is why I'm actually gonna go ahead and do that. Those reaction commands actually allow you to make sure that you can take care of the issue without it getting too out of control. Okay, this hallway sucks a bunch. And the reason for that is because you actually cannot step onto those stairs. There's an invisible wall that prevents the player from proceeding. And this guy is actually stuck behind that door, and there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, I baited him out. Nice. Yo, I got the solo. Okay, it should be this door. Yes, okay. So here we're confronting Yasha as he confronts Deus, who is the reason that all of this started in terms of the insurrection and framing Asura for the Emperor's death and all of that. Essentially the mastermind behind kidnapping Asura's daughter, which is like the linchpin for all of his rage at this point. I have not explained much of the plot at this up to now, but you know, I'm trying to go fast. The plot's not fast. Right, you can't skip the scene until a certain point. That certain point is now. I love this scene right here. You cannot skip this.
Save the world by turning the souls of humans into mantra. Was that the best you could think of? You and your worthless cause? How dare you make Mithra suffer for your own gain? You will pay! Deus, I am taking Mithra back!
So, this fight can be really, really, really threatening, and that depends entirely on Yasha. So you can see that he's here and throwing attacks along with me is not actually a good thing. And the reason I say it's not actually a good thing because his attacks don't actually do anything. But what they do is stuff like that, where he canceled out my stun and I did not get the launch that I wanted. Now normally you don't get that particularly unlucky very often. Normally that only happens just the once. We're gonna intentionally not complete that. We're gonna dive away so the burst doesn't push him. Yeah, we're on a really good pace right now. Like, really, really good. Which is hilarious because we spent like 2 minutes watching the bath scene. We can't skip this until he falls on the stairs. So yeah, this is kind of what I was afraid of, is that I get about halfway through this and not really have much left to talk
Who said
about.
you could board?
Game be crazy. But really everything past this point, for the most part, is just like knowing how enemies behave and how to catch them off guard and how to manipulate the situation once you have them off guard. So like during sections like this is just target the things and throw beams. Oh. I failed to target a thing and throw a beam. Alright, so this is like the one section in the game where it's on rails, but you can get your meter well before you can actually use it. Nope.
Asura!
Doing that gives you meter, but there's like no reason that you wouldn't do it. Oh, whoops. So right there, using unlimited mode helps you get your meter faster. This is the only Nash Y in the game. DLC included. Like, all the DLC included. So the filters and the textures on the hands that are coming at us right now are very labor intensive for the console, so this actually drops a lot of inputs, and it's supposed to be a mash. It took a lot of time retrying that section to try to find a rhythm that actually works. On the PS3 you can just mash. It doesn't slow down at all, it's fine. On Xbox One X specifically, it's not laggy anymore, but it actually breaks a couple of things in the scripting. I think it's because on the 360 they prepared the game with the lag in mind, and when you remove the lag, things don't line up as expected. please, come on. However, if the runs that you're doing are parts 1 through 3 or the part 4 DLC, the pieces of scripting that are broken on the Xbox One X don't actually negatively impact the run. However, I don't have an Xbox One X or a Series X or anything like that, so it is what it is. Honestly, the time loss is not that big, funny enough.
That we have fought over with the Goma for the past 12,000 years.
Bastards killed.
7 trillion. What? We would have used them to power the Brahmastra and destroy literally. That is the Great Rebirth.
So for anyone who missed the exposition right there, Yasha just explained that the purpose of the Brahmastra and this facility in particular was basically that the 7 deities were killing humans for the last 12,000 years, collecting their souls and converting their souls into mantra, and that they would use all of that mantra all at once to eliminate Glitra once and for all. And that is what Deus called the Great Rebirth. Yasha also just told us that over the course of that 12,000 years, they've killed 7 trillion humans. Which is kind of a lot. Dodging through these is both easy and deceptively hard, because the hitboxes aren't particularly consistent, or rather it's not that they're consistent, it's just sort of hard to see where they end and where they begin. And there's nothing that you can use to really gauge what angle your bike is headed at. I don't know why the ships have faces. I got no answer for that. Now, just in case you thought, man, that Deus fight was amazing, we should have more of that. We're about to have more of that. Like a lot more of that. So in this first phase, both Asura and Yasha are present at the same time. Yo. Oh my god. Wow. That's probably the best Deus one I've ever had. Basically, once he gets past a certain point, once you've built up a specific amount of rage, then the next time that you hit him, he will try to counter you, and that's what those reaction commands were. In fact, we should be at that point right now with Yasha. Yep. It's really, really, really easy to lose yourself and try to keep on comboing at that point. Whoops. That's fine. That Deus 1 was glorious. I'm not going to complain that Deus 2 didn't go perfectly. Oh, I didn't even need to do that. He's close enough. Let's just go. So Deus, a lot of the human bosses, or rather, I guess the other demigod bosses, for the most part, they have a habit. Like once you knock them away after you've done your big combos and all that, they'll stand up and vanish. They'll just like teleport to a different part of the arena. So in a lot of those cases, you don't want to try to use your burst right away, because if you miss, like I said earlier, you have to build it up again. You have to build it up again, I think, from like 80 or 85% of your meter, but still, it's time lost. This cannot be skipped.
Mithra! How many souls must suffer before you are satisfied? As many as it takes to save the world. Enough!
None of this is skippable, by the way.
Mithra cry!
She cries because she knows the world's suffering.
Once my world is liberated of the Goma, I shall cease all the cries.
So, funny enough, the very final confrontation with Deus that we're about to fight is by far the easiest. Because, like several other bosses, once you catch them once, the fight is over.
That is why I am invincible.
Fight's over. Funny enough, like, this boss strategy is something that, like, it wouldn't be hard for you to do casually. Now we dive in, hit him like twice, burst. Because of the angle that you land at the end of that fight, it puts him pretty much perfectly up against the wall at like, I don't know if you'd want to call it 90 degree, 100 degree. Basically the wall is perfectly flat behind him. And that's not something that a player could ever do intentionally. But thankfully right there, it pretty much gives it to you for free. Okay, so this is the last episode of the core game, part 3, episode 18, The Breaking Point. There is an unlockable true version of this that leads to a cliffhanger that leads into the DLC. We're not going to do the true version because for whatever reason the outro of it is unskippable and it lasts for a really, really long time. And the only content of it that's any different is a cutscene. And we don't want to watch it anyway, so no big deal. So, this segment is a lot more complicated than it first appears. So this is like, you know, a free fall reminiscent of the one at the beginning of the game, but in this particular case, I am expected to follow the rules. I do need to build meter. There's definitely some things going on that necessitates planning ahead. Right now, I've unlocked unlimited mode so that I can build more meters, but honestly, I think Legend of Strategy is not building that much more. Basically, I need to have unlimited mode available at specific times, and I need to get meter up in specific phases. Unlike other free falls, for the most part, this one is actually really, really planned out. As per usual, we don't do dodges. So that projectile attack actually doesn't hurt that much. So I'm not worried about it at all. It's the wave of fire that really hurts. But we're not going to have to worry about getting damaged anymore anyway. So are there any people in chat that are spider phobic? How do you like the idea of the entire planet being a laser spider? Yo, this could be a low too. That's crazy. You ignore this because all it does is give you an extra animation. Now Mithra gives us the worst arm arrangement in the game, though it looks pretty impressive. The moveset that comes off of the giant beefy arms is extremely inefficient. this is where we really want to use our unlimited mode, and it's because the hitboxes that come off of these waves of fire, honestly, I have no explanation for what these hitboxes do or how they work. I've seen times where it's hit me that it didn't make any sense at all. I've seen times where it didn't hit me where it didn't make any sense at all. So I use unlimited mode right there to make sure that I don't take unnecessary damage. Now we're inside the core of the planet that we've entered via Vlitra. Say that 5 times fast. So the biggest trick to fighting this thing is to, like, funny enough, I say don't let it hit you. But, like, honestly, don't let it hit you. It's not to avoid damage. Like, certainly you don't want to take damage here. But the more it hits you, the more it actually manages to get away from things. Like, if it fails to hit you multiple times, it'll just, like, spin out and fall down on its own. But if it hits you, it doesn't do it. There's a specific reason we haven't used unlimited mode yet. Shortest QTE in the game. There's a specific attack that he does where he'll create lasers with his hands and spin. And if he does that and I don't have a way to stop him like that, then that's just guaranteed damage. I can't do anything about that. Okay, so that's the end of the main game, and we're gonna exit it this way so that we can jump into the DLC. It's the fastest way to do it. So we've defeated Vlitra Core, and we get back to reunite with Mithra. And if you remember the golden spider from earlier, and Olga, you probably don't remember Olga because she was completely useless, but Olga appears out of nowhere, takes Mithra hostage, threatens to kill her, or well, was going to kill her, when the golden spider shows up, wraps her in twine, kills her,
There is a...
and then takes over Mithra's body.
He's the reason for it all. You're the one I should kill.
Also, several different kinds of QTEs appear in the DLC that are not part of the main game. So basically at this point we're fighting, I guess you could say, God. These fights are highly dependent on scripting, and if you know what you're doing, you can break that scripting just enough to give yourself a nice, clean advantage. Like, I'm certainly not supposed to be advancing this quickly. These, they fly towards you, and it's either the Y button or the B button, but funny enough, you can just push both. That one doesn't fail if you push the wrong button. This one does. But it is also either the Y button or the B button. Right in the end. Like you do. There's just not much left to say at this point. QTEs, waiting for chances to skip cutscenes, which is coming up at this point. So this fight coming up is basically a repeat of the fight that we just had, except that the attacks and patterns are somewhat different. So these have to be destroyed. Oh wow, that's unfortunate. These have to be destroyed before you can actually fight the enemy at this point, which hasn't yet been named. Stupid giant arms. And this very, very inefficient combo. So when he pushes you away like that, he continues to push you away until you reach a certain distance, so it actually saves time for you to run away along with that push. Alright. More QTEs. There's nothing special about this particular series of QTEs. Except that sadly you can skip very little of the cutscenes around them. And apologies for the fact that my allergies are starting to kick back up. Texas weather has been an absolute disaster lately. Literally, it was declared a disaster. So right there, Mithra repels Asura because he's using too much power and like straining himself to get basically nothing done. And she's certain that he's gonna get himself killed. Now Asura is unconscious and drained. And here comes the worst fight of the DLC. Unsurprisingly, it's a turtle fight. Yeah.
They must have sniffed me out.
Reminder, Yasha is left-handed. Now, right away, this thing is going to dive at me. There we go. Are you serious? Yo, we're getting a lot of solos. I'm loving it. That's not gonna be a solo. Yo, dude. Yo, could you not? Yikes. on. Where does it? Here we go. Right? Right? There it goes. Jeez. It was really important that we see Yasha stand up and turn around. Oh my god, what I'm doing right now is incredibly risky, but if it works out, it saves a decent amount of time. Ah, god. You're not going anywhere, dude. Ah, come on. I hate this fight. It's such a rough fight, dude. Okay, so RTA was probably a really terrible idea to do that, but... Whew! Okay. That went truly, truly horribly. But I didn't die. And that was the goal for this run, is don't die. Welcome to my PowerPoint presentation. Yo, even the fade out lags. Funny enough, you can't skip this until a QTE involving mashing B is over. And then you can skip several things until you mash B again.
Do not be mistaken. I am not saving you. You must face an even greater.
Alright, so the plan here was to take the Mantra reactor from the Karma Fortress, i.e. the Brahmastra that's recently been completely destroyed, and put it into Asura to give him the power necessary to fight back against this yet unnamed villain.
Mithra!
You are awake. The end of the...
Who is stronger?
Oh, also in that process, Yasha yanked out his own core.
Let me see how strong you really are.
Show me how strong you are!
So, Yasha at this fight, he likes to teleport away a lot when you catch him. So, because of that, instead of actually going for a full combo, typically what you would do is just launch him right away.
I can read your every move. Shut up!
By the way, this is one of the most dangerous fights in the game, next to Saya Asura from earlier. And after this, there's
Hold nothing back.
a regrettably very easy fight if you know what you're doing. Oh, wow. That's fine. And then after that, probably the hardest fight in the game if you don't know how to do it right.
Years hasn't changed you at all. Asura! Shut up!
At the very least, this fight coming in is the most visually arresting fight in the game, I think. It also is the only DLC fight that actually has a unique move set for Asura, and it's because it's his actual limbs. It's not the robotic limbs that he's had for the entirety of the game. So the thing about fighting in the sky like this is that you're not actually fighting in the sky. As far as the mechanics are concerned, this is actually a platform. What is happening?
Just begun!
Are we not? I'd probably be better off just letting this one hit me. Not at this point, though. Okay, that was way closer than I've had that fight get in a long time. So, just like the orbs from that fight earlier, you don't actually have to hit the correct button here right away. You can just push all the buttons.
I'm tired of singing your praise.
And I will end this for you right now.
Face. Also, apologies for the fact that there's not much to talk about at this point in the run. Everything's been mentioned except for minor nuances per fight. Yo, I'm tired of my face too, Yasha. So this is probably the actual hardest fight in the game. If you understand how it works, you can make it look like it's not the hardest fight in the game. But it definitely is. Look at that fucking thing. Okay, we're not gonna do the big finish, we're just gonna keep on watching.
For yourself! Overgrown ape! Stubborn bastard!
So obviously the big change up here is that he's in unlimited mode and he's able to do his like super move specials. One of them is merely really annoying because it comes out super fast. The other one is extremely dangerous. The circular one is not the dangerous one, it's the star-shaped one. And it's because that one hits twice, what, 3 times technically? The last hit that comes out of it is brutal damage. Now if you notice there, the energy coming off of Asura is no longer red, it's rainbow. So the whole point of Yasha engaging Asura in combat at this point is he was trying to push Asura to pull out power that he didn't know he had in the form of the mantra reactor. That moment was supposed to be somber, so I went ahead and stayed quiet. Yasha reveals what he's done and starts to fade away. And then Asura says, "You were always a brother, never an enemy," but I guess we're forgetting about getting sliced in half earlier in the game. Yo, I'm gonna let you guys in chat know right now, if you slice me in half, we're not brothers. You ever think, yo, I wonder if Xana will forgive me for slicing him in half? No. It's not gonna happen. So this is the last episode of the DLC, well, the Part 4 DLC. And if we have enough time within that 3-hour, 20-minute estimate, we can show off the lost episodes. And then we'll pass it on to the next runner. So now Asura and Big Boy. Alright, so this is the only actual flight section. It is mechanically the same as a free fall section. And it is ludicrously easy to die here. This is probably the only section in the game where I'm not going to be like upset if I die. Because there are enough things going on that you're not in control of all of it. Examples like that, where you've targeted all the things that there are to target, and you fire it off, and for whatever reason it doesn't hit them all. Doesn't matter if I do that one time. Spider web of minor planets. Like you do. No big deal. By the way, there is no unlimited mode right now. It's just not a thing. Yoshi's down B. You'll have to excuse me, it's been about 100 years since I've touched a Smash Brothers. Z. This is yet another dodge that we shouldn't do. Yo, what? What? Okay, it's a very good thing that we finished that when we did, because the big blue sun, star, whatever you want to call it, that he was about to throw at me, that one takes a lot of time. And there's nothing else that you can really focus on at that point. So, at this point, the villain has given us our daughter back and told us that we need to be the ruler of the planet, that Gaia must be ruled by one of her own. And we're about to be given the option to extend a hand. That's extend hand.
I refuse. I will destroy.
Typical Asura. This section actually kind of sucks. It's not dangerous, it just has a habit of eating time. Are you kidding me? It's possible to deal with him before this ball forms, and I have not been able to nail that in a while. It's unfortunate. This fight is pretty much the exact same thing that we did earlier, with the exception of the finisher. This does not put you right next to the boss, which is incredibly unfortunate. It makes it difficult to keep things in control. Okay, so that QTE starts off with, it's an A button at the beginning every time. But the second button is either B or Y. I messed up. Good job paying attention to me. What? I saw Asura do a spin. I don't understand. Alright, so this fight went completely off the rails. Yeah, I'm letting it happen again. No. This is not quite enough. Or is it? It is! Okay, nice. Wow. You know, honestly, earlier when Sid said take a drink every time Asura cheats death, if he really wants to make that completely out of control, it's got to be every time his arms break. Arm broke, take a shot. Don't actually do that. Very, very bad for your health. That feel when you punch God so hard he throws up. Alright, now let's fight Final Zemnis. I wish that comparison didn't ring true, sadly. So this is when he's revealed to be Chakravartin. Which the reference wouldn't make any sense to you unless you looked into Buddhism and Hindu. Well, Hindu culture, I mean. Okay, so this should be an incredibly difficult fight, but unfortunately, its scripting kind of makes it way too predictable for that. Yo, what? What was this about being predictable? Come on. Behave, sir. So we're gonna take some damage intentionally, because as we've discussed earlier, dodges are slow. Alright, so everything past this is a huge and very interesting series of QTEs. Yo guys, during this run I was not able to watch the donations, but seriously, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me. And to, well, basically anybody that cares about Free Play Arcade. You guys are total bosses. Okay, weird QTE time. Now, the buttons that and inputs that have that symbol on them are actually chakra buttons. I have nothing to do with them. I will say though that I have yet to see anybody understand what's happening during this because of that. Like, as neat as it is for a design decision, I can't help but feel like, from a player perspective, it doesn't really work.
I understand it all. The true reason for my wrath.
Because it's mostly just confusing.
Stand it!
Yo, to think that there's still some more mashing to do.
There is always some fool who wants to rule the world! Always forcing others to do what they cannot do for themselves! How can he be so powerful?
Right? Dude, this game needs a full-blown PC release so bad. The triple burst.
Above all else, I forgive you. Making my daughter cry.
We'll hit that particular excellent.
Will be lost. Without mantra, you cannot survive.
But
Whoops, it didn't take the input. Good thing that didn't matter. Okay, so that's actually the end of part 4. Since we have time, let's go ahead and show off the lost episodes. I'm not gonna skip any of either of them.
Fight for rival!
戦いの中に答えはある。
Whoops.
Round 1, fight!
So, yeah, last episode 1 is fighting Ryu. And the Street Fighter portion of this is a total mess because I can't actually block and I don't have any special moves. I have Asura's Wrath rules, like, you know, the jump button and, you know, like basic combos. It's all built into the way the Asura's Wrath runs. Unfortunately, Ryu actually plays like the Street Fighter character. Yo, what's up, Vlad?
Round 1, fight!
Just a casual uppercut to the moon. No big deal. Totally normal stuff. Yeah. Hatred incarnate. So, the last episode fights definitely do work differently. These enemies have like counters in ways that other enemies don't. Like, they actually bothered to add Ryu's wake up super as a thing, and it's very, very, very dangerous. I almost kind of want to show off how dangerous it is by just letting it happen at some point. So yeah, these are actually unique attack animations. They're essentially the same attacks, but the animations are different. Well, here we go. Him's doing me an owie. But hey, we fixed the planet. Or moon, whatever. Is not, well, it didn't look broken a second ago. Yo, that was almost really, really bad. So once you get past a certain part of the fight, Evil Ryu gains the ability to air recover out of your combos. My typical way of like launching into the air, then jumping and continuing my combo actually kind of breaks that. Unfortunately, this is going to chew up all of my unlimited mode. But I guess it doesn't matter because he's done anyway. So on the Xbox One X, the upcoming QTE is almost impossible. I say almost because, I mean, you could get lucky. But what happens in the background there, it happens so quickly that like the buttons don't really come in fast enough for you to hit them all. So gee, I wonder what Lost Episode 2 is gonna be.
様は我こそ剣を極めし者なり。
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Come on. You cannot corner pressure Akuma. Can't be done. He like breaks combos at random with a counter hit. Honestly, the fight with Akuma, the Street Fighter portion, is complete nonsense.
様は我こそ剣を極めし者なり。
Straight up kicked into a different universe. For sure.
A new warrior has entered the ring!
So just to clarify, I absolutely expect to die here.
見せてみよう。
Round one, fight!
Yo. Okay. I'm doing far better than expected. Hey, could you not? This is a DLC. No. Yeah, I'm probably dead. God, Akuma is total nonsense. And here I was doing actually really good, and then he just decided it wasn't allowed anymore. Well, there's definitely DLC. What combo? So this is the problem with like making a character that cannot block or counter fight a character that's made out of blocks and counters. Yo, I broke the plane. Akuma was floating a little bit there. There we go. Okay, so the second round, thankfully, you don't actually have to win the round. You just need to survive long enough to fill that burst gauge in the bottom left.
8, 7. Round 1. Fight.
That should do it. Yo, he's got the Dragon Balls. The game isn't popular because when it was originally released, people accused it of being just a DLC selling ploy because the quote true ending is DLC only. But the game has an on-disc acceptable ending. It just has like an alternate version of that episode that is a cliffhanger. And the reason that it exists the way that it does is because CyberConnect 2 was putting a lot more work into like directing and developing, and they weren't so much making their deadlines. So Capcom pushed them to release what they had, like wrap it up basically, make it work. So the Part 4 DLC is essentially the direction that CyberConnect 2 was trying to go to begin with. Okay, I thought that you only did those 4. But it is in actuality an amazing game, regardless of the missteps that it clearly has. Capcom's horrible management and style didn't completely destroy it. I mean, DMC Squared has decent iframes for dodges. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, that demon dodge in DMC squared is just ridiculously good. I actually prefer that look. It's not like so needlessly anime. Well, a lot of people did hate on it simply for the fact that it was different. I don't know, I like the variety. But I'm clearly not your typical gamer, otherwise I wouldn't be a speedrunner of Asura's Wrath. I'm the only not Japanese speedrunner for God Hand. Well, no, that's not true. We've been getting submissions from Brazilian players lately. Yo, what are you talking about? I punch gods for fun. Like, I wake up, I punch around some gods, I have a snack, I punch around some more gods, I get a sweet tea, I punch another god. It's just what you do. Minimalistic in color. I don't remember having any issues with that, but it's been a while since I've actually played it. Unless you might be talking about something else. I may have lost the plot. I'm sorry. Yo, this is actually working out pretty good, funny enough. I can't believe that I managed to show off the bath scene and both the lost episodes without skipping the cutscenes and the 320 that I allotted myself. I was so worried about this run because in practice it kept on going like super, super wrong. So like, I never found OG Kratos to be like interesting or compelling in any way, but I do like the direction that the reboot is taking with it. Though having said that, I haven't played much of the reboot as of yet. Ora, indeed. And that's the end. All right. It's been super fun. That was Asura's Wrath and all of its glory and every possible conceivable piece of its content that was worth looking at. There's a Korok seed, so you know there is, definitely. 100%. Yeah, it says to be continued. It's not going to be continued.